Larry, you won't believe it.
What kind of a shark is it?
Gee, I don't know. I think it's a macaw.
Got a deep throat, Pratt. Yeah, but what kind? What kind of shark?
It's a tiger shark.
A what?
We can start breathing again. Then getting plenty of pictures for the papers.
You bet he is.
What is this bite radius crap?
That is a big mouth. Look at
All I'm
I'm
trying
gonna
to
stuff
tell
your friggin' head in there, man, and find out if it's a man-eater, all right?
Come on.
We're all in your debt for bringing in that monster.
here. This is not the shark.
All right, where you
What I am
from?
saying is that it may not be the shark. It's just a slight
And I want you to
difference
meet
in semantics, but I don't want to get beaten up.
This is Larry Vaughn, our mayor. Matt's from the Oceanographic Institute.
Nice to meet you.
Terrific, huh, Mayor?
Martin, there are all kinds of sharks in the waters, you know? Hammerheads, white tips, blues, makos. And the chances that these bozos got the exact shark...
now, there's
that
no
killed
other
those two
sharks
people-
like this in
Martin,
these waters.
It's 100 to 1. 100 to 1. Now, I'm not saying that this is not the shark. It probably is, Martin. It probably is. It's a man-eater. It's extremely rare for these waters. But the fact is that the bite radius on this animal is different than the wounds on the victim. I want to be sure. You want to be sure. We all want to be sure, okay? And what I want to do is very simple. The digestive system of this animal is very, very slow. Let's cut it open. Whatever it's eaten in the last 24 hours is bound to still be in there, and then we'll be sure.
Maybe the only way to confirm it, huh? Look, fellas, let's be reasonable, huh? This is not the time or the place to perform some kind of a half-assed autopsy on a fish. And I am not going to stand here and see that thing cut open and see that little Kentner boy spill out all over the dock.
JAWGUST. JAWGUST.
JAWGUST is back once again. Jaws is 50, so I thought, my friends, for you to come with me as I go back to Amity. A 31-day podcast, talking 4 minutes of Jaws each day. It will be another month-long show for me, and I hope to see you there, 'cause JAWGUST is back again.
Happy Saturday, everybody. It's Saturday, August 9th, which means it's the 9th day of JAWGUST, which means it's the 9th day of Golden JAWGUST, which means for the 9th day in a row, I am talking 4 minutes of Jaws, and today I am talking about minutes 32 to 36, in which we see a shark, not the shark. And this is the first 4 minutes where all 3 of our major characters are in the same location, pretty much, kinda, technically. But before we get there, I want to talk about the one man of the main trio that doesn't say any words in this segment. He just kind of floats by with a look of like, these dumb rubes. I'm talking about the man Robert Shaw. Robert Shaw was born on August 9th, 1927, which means today would be Robert Shaw's 102nd birthday. Robert Shaw passed away on August 28th. So I feel like we have almost another day to talk about him, to mourn during JAWGUST. August 28th, 1978, at the age of 51. And I know I talked about this before, but today's his birthday, so I'm talking about it again. The fact that Robert Shaw was 2 years younger than me when he's filming this movie is jarring. Now, I've seen interviews with him where I wondered, they must have grayed up his hair a little bit, make him look a little bit older, I guess. I don't know. But he has the face of what I would call a man, an adult man. And I feel like I'm older. I've got, lines where I didn't always have lines, but I still feel like I have the face of like a simple child. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I don't look like I could kill a shark. Let's put it that way. You look at this guy. If you saw this guy on a boat, you'd be like, oh, he knows more than I do. He knows more than he's saying. I can see it in his eyes, and he's going to kill a shark. If you looked at me on the side of the boat, you go, oh, he's going to fall off that boat. Robert Shaw was a stage actor, a film actor, a writer. And it's funny, I looked up Jaws, and it looks like Jaws was like his 30th movie or something like that. So, but it's like the guy was working for, since 1947. 1951, he played a chemist, uncredited, but he was already an adult man by 1951. He did a lot of television too, from the 50s and 60s, and he wrote books. The Sun Doctor by Robert Shaw was the second novel written in 1961 by author and actor Robert Shaw. It centers on Benjamin Halliday, a British doctor working in Africa who is returning to England to receive a knighthood. However, he is tormented with feelings of remorse and guilt concerning the afflicted African tribe he was attending. He is also haunted by the early death of his father. The story is told mostly in flashback. It's based on Robert Shaw's play. This guy was a Renaissance man, and I feel bad the other day that I was like, yes, but most people know him as Quint the Shark Hunter. That's just the I think just a fact. But I don't even think I knew that he wrote plays and screenplays and novels, and part of me wants to go and, because I know how to read, and more importantly, I enjoy reading. Now, I don't know, this seems like it is a well-written, award-winning style of writing, where if I told you right now that I'm reading a Superman book that I found on the young adult fiction, YA fiction shelf, that's what I'm saying. Like, Robert Shaw is an adult, and I'm older. That's all I am. I just got older. I didn't I've lived on the edge of the sea, or I've written my experiences. No, I am podcasting about movies. That's where I am at life. And you know what? This is who you got. Mike Batts loves it. So hopefully you do too. So happy birthday, Robert Shaw. Happy birthday to the man, the myth, the legend who gave us the mighty Quint. So the majority of these 4 minutes that we're talking about today are focused primarily on a shark that was caught. I mentioned that already. But we open up this clip with more of Hooper in the medical examiner's office. Yesterday I played the clip where he says, This was no boat accident. And while that's the first time he says it, it's to me, it's not the more memorable way that, I remember saying, well, I thought he said it like more harsh. Well, that's because I'm watching it 4 minutes at a time. And I realized, well, he says it again at the beginning of these 4 minutes.
This is what happens. It indicates the non-frenzied feeding of a large squalus, possibly Angimanus or Asurus glaucus. Now, the enormous amount of tissue loss prevents any detailed analysis. However, the attacking squalus must be considerably larger than any normal squalus found in these waters. Didn't you get on a boat and check out these waters?
No.
Well, this is not a boat accident. It wasn't any propeller. It wasn't any coral reef. And it wasn't Jack the Ripper. It was a shark.
Dun, dun, dun. It was a shark. So I always loved when Hooper was doing like the Greek genus talking, like the very fancy technical term for the shark. He's like, this is what happens. And I know you just heard it, but I'm going to say it anyway. It indicates the non-frenzied feeding of a large squalus, possibly Longimanus or Isurus glauca. I just love that, the way he says it, and he pulls it off, and he sounds believable. And of course, he's like, this was no boat. This is no boat accident. And it wasn't any propeller. It wasn't any coral reef. And it wasn't Jack the Ripper. And it was a shark. And the skill in editing of this movie, we've got to give it to Verna Fields, I think, for this, but I'm sure Spielberg has a lot to do with this, is he says it was a shark, and then we jump to an actual shark with its mouth open wide. I can only imagine that some people in the audience seeing this for the first time in 1975 screamed when they saw that shark. Yes, it was a shark that was dead, but it's like right up in your face, filling up the entire screen. And what's crazy about this shark is very, very real. So I'm going once again to the Daily Jaws, a great website, a great resource for Jaws news, Jaws information. They have an article from February 20th, 2024. And I'm glad that this didn't exist and I didn't miss it the first time I did JAWGUST back in 2020. It's the titled A Shark, not The Shark. The Tale of Oscar, the tiger shark in Jaws. I never knew that the other shark in Jaws had a nickname. But I remember seeing this going, this shark has to be real. That there's no way they could do I don't think in the 70s you could make a shark that looks that good. Like that close up, that full giant. I mean, I don't think, maybe you could, but maybe not on their budget. And what's crazy is I know that in this time, I don't think that could happen in today's like cinema Hollywood world. I don't think, now, never mind PETA and the ethical treatment of animals. This animal is already dead, so it's not like they killed it for the movie, but the fact that, this shark was killed and caught and then brought, used in such a way just for the sensationalism of a movie, I feel like that would be seen as done in poor taste. I don't know if they can say no animals were harmed in the making of this movie. That dog might have been scared on the boat. Actually, this shark was not harmed during the making of this movie, so I guess it technically works. So this article, which I have a link to in the show notes, says, in Jaws, two sharks take the spotlight, Bruce and Oscar. Bruce, of course, is the great white, who was portrayed by an animatronic shark, while the red herring of the picture, Oscar, was the real deal. As Universal Studios busied themselves around Edgartown Harbor filming their fictional shark hunt, a group of actual vineyard anglers embarked on a similar venture. Rumors circulated that Jaws was after a real shark, one that could appear on camera as the prize catch of the profit-hungry locals vying for Mrs. Kittner's $3,000 bounty. Unfortunately for the filmmakers, the fishermen returned to the port either empty-handed or with the modest catches of commonly local species. Basically, they got smaller sharks. While these were potentially dangerous to swimmers, they lacked the imposing presence of the suspected island terror. So stuntman Teddy Grossman embarked on a trip to Florida. He's like, who's Teddy Grossman? Why did you pause? Why did you say it like that? Because Teddy Grossman is the man later on in this movie that's like, hey, fellas, you guys all right over there? And then, of course, he gets eaten into me, the actual most frightening, most horrific shot in the entire movie. But we're not there yet. But that guy actually went to Florida and returned with Oscar a 13 or 14-foot tiger shark. There's a box. There's this blog post has awesome photos. There is a box that says Oscar, Zanuck Brown Production, Jaws, director Steve Spielberg. And it says Grossman, Zender, Shark Seekers? Maybe Shark Seekers Incorporated. So they got these from a shark fisherman, I guess, who I guess had no problem sending this shark to, the shark carcass, this sharkus, to a Hollywood production. On May 12th, a chartered FedEx plane delivered Oscar to Martha's Vineyard, where it was swiftly transported to a refrigeration unit. And the following day, the shark was prepared for its on-screen debut, hanging by the tail and quote-unquote wounded by an array of theatrical harpoons, knives, and guns. So you see all these arrows and holes sticking out of it. But basically, I'm not going to read the entire article. The thing stunk. A pungent odor that quickly emerged once he was hoisted on the docks in Edgartown. And they said Carl Gottlieb vividly recalled the scene, describing the nauseating smell. There's a quote. It's from Jaws, Memories of Martha's Vineyard. What everybody lost track of is the shark, very simply protein. The meat of the shark is biologically different than the meat of fish, and it decays very quickly. So, and also when they hung it up, gravity pulled the stomach down, so they were afraid to touch it. So once it hung up, it stayed hanging up and immediately started to boil. They said, of course, the next day there was sunshine, and like any rotting fish times 800 pounds, it really reeked. He says, if you look closely at the crowd, you see some people trying not to gag. It was horrible. You could see pictures of, like, there's a photo of Del Armstrong, makeup artist, trying to keep the shark looking fresh, like spraying it and I think adding makeup to it. Meanwhile, this was just an animal that gets killed, and it's a big ass shark, but it's not the shark. But like, I can't help but feel bad about an animal that was already dead 50 years ago, and yet it's being used in such a, flippant way for a movie. It was very effective, though, so I will give them that. That was one big tiger shark.
A what?
Tiger shark, I said. So we see the shark. We see the fishermen who caught it. And wouldn't you know, friggin' Meadows. Oh, wow, this guy's just looking right in the camera. There's a guy in a green sweater who is like, does he have dogs with him? He has a black dog with him, and he just looks right in the camera. Dude, right when it's right off in the corner. You can barely see him, but he's looking right. He is looking right at me. I can move around the room, and his eyes do not leave me. So these guys are all excited that they caught this fish, and Meadows right away. Meadows, who's like, we're going to put the ad in the back of the paper. We're going to hide it so no one will find it. We're going to put the article's going to be small. Don't worry about it. But then he sees this fish and he tells his assistant, we got to get this nationwide. So again, he didn't care about this kid being killed. He didn't care about the people, the safety of the people coming in. He just wants everyone now to know that, hey, we caught this big shark. Everything's totally cool. Everything is fine. Do not worry about it. But we need to get these summer dollars into town. And hopefully everyone will buy a newspaper to see what's going on in Amity every day when they're on vacation. Meadows, you son of a bee. So Brody and Hooper show up. And, I mean, again, does anyone have a more genuine smile than goddamn Roy Scheider? He looks so happy. He's like, who caught this? Did Ben Gardner catch this? They're like, no, we did. We caught this. It's like, oh, that's swell, guys. That's really swell. He's patting him on the back, even though one guy's back is really disgusting, covered in chum. He's really happy. But you know who isn't happy? You know who hasn't said a thing? He just walks right to this, right by Meadows, while Brody's smiling. Hooper just looks at it, and he's like, I don't know about this. And immediately starts, he takes a tape measure out, and he's measuring the shark mouth. And at that moment, you see a boat going by. This is the first time you see it. The great and wonderful orca. Now, if anyone saw my video on Blue Sky or TikTok yesterday, I did a little video for the Family Ties theme song that I put into the last episode. And in the video, I have a smaller, no, it's not life size, I have a model replica of the orca. And I use it in the video. And I've had that since the original JAWGUST way back in 2020. And I got that as a wonderful gift from a previous JAWGUST guest and a future JAWGUST guest, a Geek Mentality regular, my buddy Eric, who I must say has been very generous over the years as a guest on this show. And he's always thanking me. And I'm like, no, dude, I should be thanking you for coming on this show. And I will be thanking you again because you will be coming back on this program. So the orca's going by, and you could just see on Quint's face, he's laughing. He is laughing like, they think they caught the shark. They think they caught the shark that did what that ate a woman and a small prune-fingered child. I don't think so. He does not look like, oh man, looks like my job is done. I'm out 10,000 bucks. Nope. Meanwhile, everyone on the dock except Hooper is super excited. They all pose. Meadows doesn't waste any more time. He wants everyone to pose for this photo. And you got Hendricks holding up the beach closed sign. You got a bunch of fishermen around. Not all of them caught it. You got the guys who caught it kneeling down in front with their arms around each other. You got Brody in the photo too. Now, if you look at the photo, if you go to fans.experts.com or you see the image in the show notes, if you see the full image, if you click on the show notes, I did a little Photoshop trickery there. I actually took 3 different frames of this scene because I wanted everyone looking in the camera. So I have Hooper looking in the camera on one scene, one shot. Then I have another frame where the 2 guys in the lower right corner who caught the fish are arm in arm. But at that point, Brody's not looking in the camera. So I have another frame where Brody's looking in the camera. So no AI involved. It was all MC, but or GM, I guess, Geek Mentality. But I did do a little Photoshop trickery, so I wanted to point that out. I think it came out pretty good. If you're just looking at it, you're just like, oh, I remember that shot from the movie, except you don't, because the shot you're seeing actually technically never happened. So one thing I saw in the Jaws IMDb trivia, they said it's one thing you'll notice that the fact that this is a shark that was caught previously is that the teeth are gone. All the teeth are gone. So there's no way these fishermen took out all the teeth all at once. Again, that's not something that like a person might have noticed because it's pretty quick. I think I noticed, but I think I always thought, oh, the teeth are like, I'm not seeing them like they're different, but you can actually see in the shot where the 3 dudes turn to look at Hooper and say, and the guy goes, oh, what? You can actually see, I think you can see the holes where all the teeth were pulled out. But I love Hooper. It's just kind of doing his thing. It's like, it's a tiger shark. Like he knows exactly what it is. Meanwhile, Brody goes and finds Larry in another great suit. This one's a pinstripe, very much Easter colors. And they're all excited. He's like, oh, he's hoping they're getting good pictures for the paper. They're all smiles. Now, look, Larry's a son of a bee, but there's just a moment here where the genuine smiles on these guys, like you almost feel bad because this can't be happening. This isn't happening. And then you see the two fishermen saying they're going to shove you. Oh, you don't think the bite radius? What's his bite radius? I'll shove your head in there. He's going to shove his head inside the shark. And you see Hooper just kind of laughing and arguing with these guys. They come over and he's about to, what I love is in this scene, the reaction of Larry, of Mayor Vaughn. So he's all smiles, and they're like, this is Matt Hooper from the Oceanographic Institute. He's like, he's probably thinking, yeah, who cares? We already got the shark. Thanks for being here. He's all smiles, but he doesn't really pay much attention to him. And then he's like, Martin, can I talk to you? And Martin's all smiles too. And then you see, now when you see, and I talked about this back in 2020, I remember talking about this because I remember being so impressed by this. The framing of this shot of Hooper and Brody having this conversation, right in between them is Mayor Vaughn, and Hooper's like, Martin, that's a shark. Okay, it's a man-eater, but the fact that these rubes, is that what he calls them, caught the shark that killed that boy and that girl, it's 100 to 1. And Brody's like, there's no, in this water, there's no sharks like that in this water. He's like, okay, that's fine. Then you see in the background, Larry smiling, and he's getting closer, and he's excusing himself, and he's getting closer, and he's listening in, and the smile is just disappearing from his face as Hooper's like, it probably is, Martin, it probably is. But the fact of the matter is the bite radius on this fish does not match the bite radius that killed the first victim. And there's a very simple thing we can do. And at this point, Vaughn's smile is gone. Brody's smile, he's almost like trying to keep the smile on his face, like, okay, all right. And that's when Hooper says, we can cut him open. The digestive tract is digestion is very long, very slow on these animals. Anything he ate in the last 48 hours will still be in there or something like that. I might be getting it wrong. But at this point, Mayor Vaughn is like, you got to be effing kidding me. And his blinking, his eyes, he just keeps blinking, nervousness. And Chris, I got to give Chris credit here because he's talked about this in the past. This is the one moment in the entire movie where you're like, Mayor Vaughn is right. He's like, fellas, let's be reasonable, okay? This is not the time and a place for a half-ass autopsy on a fish, and I'm not going to have, you cut that shark open and have that little Kittner boy spilling out all over the docks. And boom, that's where the 4 minutes end. It ends. That clip you're listening at the beginning, it ends exactly when he says he's not going to have that little Kittner boy spill out all over the dock. I didn't miss a word. I was like nervous that it's going to get caught off and it's just not going to be perfect. Thankfully, the JAWGUST gods prevailed, and it was a JAWGUST miracle that this absolutely ends in the 4 minutes. Because even Hooper's like, well, I mean, that's really only the way to know for sure. And he's like, fellas, let's be reasonable here. Yes, that's the first and last time. Well, no, well, he does one thing, but it's because he gets pushed to the edge. He finally makes the right decision. But this is really the one moment where he says this isn't a bad idea. In fact, this is the moment he should run for his re-election on. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you know that wasn't the shark, but they wanted to cut it open right there, and I said no. I said no. And he's like, he said no. The whole crowd, he said no. And that's, he trying to kind of tricks these rubes into voting for him again. Again, when people say, how the hell did the mayor of Amity get reelected? Look at the people of Amity. That's how. And that's it for these 4 minutes 32 to 36. Tomorrow is big day 10. We're going to catch up to the first 40 minutes of Jaws. Whew. Today was it's late. It's 10:30 when I'm finishing this up because I woke up really early this morning and my wife's like, why don't you go back to bed? I said, I don't know. But then I did. And then I slept till almost 9 a.m., which is like the middle of the day. And I kind of loved it and also hated it. But then we had one thing we were doing today. So we just chilled. I finished a book. I started a book because I was like, I can do JAWGUST tonight, which I did. I may say I did a perfect job. Then we went, well, listen, my wife and I, we have no children, unless you count our wonderful beagle dog. And so we do a lot with her, and we go to a lot of dog-related things. There's a place in Everett, Mass. called Park 9. It is actually an awesome bar that just happens to also be a dog-friendly bar, and it has an indoor dog park, and it does doggy daycare. But it is actually really just a cool place that we've gone to multiple times last year and this year, almost to the day. It was a year ago tomorrow that we went to the Doggy Luau. And I didn't have JAWGUST last year, so I didn't talk about it here. I might have talked about it on something else. But the Doggy Luau, yes, we put my dog in a tiny little Hawaiian shirt and took her to this bar. And you know what? I had a wonderful time. It was fun. The dogs are running around. It was crazy. I've never seen this place more packed. And now my dog is so fast asleep that it was worth it. It was worth it for her to have fun too. And I love meeting all these dogs. And you meet other dog people. It's like she gets there. She immediately jumped on a picnic table. This is all inside with these 3 people who didn't even have a dog. And I'm like, oh, sorry. They're laughing and loving it. I'm like, oh yeah, I realize they're all in here realizing what they're in for. So this is pretty normal. She didn't spill any drinks, so that was fine. But tomorrow, I don't have too much. I mean, it's Sunday, so I go get some coffee. I go get some grocery shopping. I think we want to do a farmer's market. So I'm going to guess that JAWGUST 10th is also going to be an evening show. But you never know. You never know. Good luck to Chris, who's running 17 miles. I don't know why he would do something like that, but I think it must be some sort of race. I hope it is. Otherwise, he's just wasting his time. Good luck, Chris. And I think that's it. Now, maybe Chris is listening to this while he's running. Go! You can do it, buddy. 17 miles. I assume you're still running because this is only 32 minutes in. And if you finished in 32 minutes, 17 miles, Jesus. I assume you won the race then. But if not, if you're still listening to this right now, go and follow me on all the social media at Geek Mentality, except TikTok, which is Geek Mentality Mike. The Facebook page, of course, is Fans Not Experts, and the YouTube channel is Fans Not Experts. That's because of the website where every podcast that I work on can be found at fansnotexperts.com. I don't know why I always fall into I was going to say Trot Nixon impression, but it's basically a Richard Nixon impression, which isn't even a good one. So I don't even know if I'm doing it, but it's kind of in that vein, I suppose. Yeah, I've hit the point where I'm just rambling now, so I'm going to go, but I will talk to you tomorrow. Same shark time, same shark channel. I will see you then. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. The beaches are closed, and here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe. 'Cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode. Fans Not Experts.